Hey there, welcome, and in this lecture I'll show you how to create a graph using Bokeh. So we'll quickly kick it off with the Bokeh library now and see what Bokeh can do. So specifically in this lecture you'll learn how to create a scatter plot using Bokeh. So first thing you want to do is make sure you have Bokeh installed. So if you haven't installed it yet, you can just go ahead and pip install Bokeh in your command line. But beware though that you may need to have pandas and numpy installed in your system for Bokeh to work properly. So we have already consumed pandas and numpy in the previous sections of this course. So I assume you have them and you know how to install them. So pip install Bokeh, and it's collecting. So running setup.py for Bokeh. And done. Great. And the next thing you may consider doing is you may want to use a Jupyter notebook to generate Bokeh plots. The Jupyter notebook is a fantastic notebook to run Python code, so I would highly suggest you use that. And I showed you how to install the Jupyter notebook in the previous lecture, so I'll go ahead and run it now. Great. So at the moment all we have is an empty browser tab page, and you may want to go ahead and create a Python 3 notebook. Now, there are basically three ways to generate visualizations using Bokeh. These are referred as interfaces. So you've got the bokeh.models interface, and you have the bokeh.plotting interface, and you also have the bokeh.charts interface. Now the models interface is basically targeted to application developers. This is quite a low level interface, so you'll have to do yourself lots of work if you're using this interface. The other interface, bokeh.plotting, is a medium level interface, so you have lots of room for customizing things with a plotting interface. And you also have the charts interface, which is a high level interface. So to understand it better, for instance, let's say you want to create a scatter plot. So a plot with an x and y axis and with some points inside the area of the plot. And you can do that using the plotting interface. And in that case, you'd have to create a figure object and then apply a circle object in that figure object. So circles would represent the points you want to plot in the scatter plot. And you have to pass some parameters explicitly there. But with the charts interface, you can straightforward use the scatter method of this interface. So you do something like bokeh.charts.scatter, and then straightforward there you would pass the pandas data frame and the columns you want to map in the plot, so the columns you want to plot in the scatter plot, and basically you are done. So you've got to make some choices there. And also you have the models interface. We'll go later through that, but basically with models you can modify the grid of your area and other low-level parameters of your plots. So I would suggest the way to go is the plotting interface. I will be focusing in the plotting interface in this section, but also go through the models and charts interface. And in this very first lecture, I would like to start with the charts interface of Bokeh. And then we'll do the same thing, so the same scatter plot using the plotting interface, so that you can see the difference and things will make sense then. So what you want to do is, from bokeh.charts, import scatter. So that's a method that creates a scatter plot. Great. Enter. So just enter to go to the next line of your current cell in the Jupyter notebook. And then the function, the scatter plot, goes like this. Let's save it in a variable. So let's say p equals to scatter. So we are saving the scatter object in the p variable. scatter, and then you need to pass the data frame that is keeping your data. Then once you pass the data frame, so the data frame, let's say, has some columns, so it has an X column, so a column labeled X and a column labeled Y, and you need to pass the names of the columns you want to use as X and Y coordinates for the plot, for the points you want to plot. So you want to pass them here. Let's say your X column is called X, so with capital letter, and then for Y parameter you have the Y column in the data frame. I'll create a data frame just in a moment, so please bear with me there. And you may want to pass a title for the scatter plot, say temperature observations, and let's say X label, so the X label parameter, which will label your horizontal axis. Let's say day of observation, and Y label as well temperature, just like that. And so you need a data frame, so let me create a data frame quickly here. First of all, I need to import pandas. So we're talking about pandas data frame, and you know how to create them because I explained that in the previous sections. So an empty data frame would be like pandas data frame columns. So we have an X column with a big X and Y, just like that. And then we need to populate these columns with some rows. So we need to add some values there. And let's say the X column will have these values: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Y column, let's say 5, 6, 4, 5, and 3. So that should create a data frame for us. Actually, we can quickly test it in another cell. B to create a new cell, enter to enter the cell, Ctrl V to paste the text in there. So Alt enter to go to the next cell, and simply print out the data frame, df. So that's our pandas data frame. Great. dd to delete the cell, dd to delete the cell again, and here we are again. So we're passing the df here, and so we have a scatter plot object at this point. Now what we want to do is, we have two options here. We can either show the plot in an HTML file, so we want to generate a .html file, or we can show the plot here inside the Jupyter notebook. So I'll show you how to do both options, but first let's go ahead and create an HTML file. So you need to import the output file class here from the bokeh.charts, and this output file class is available in other interfaces as well. So you'll find it in the bokeh.models interface, in the bokeh.plotting interface, because this is a global class. And you also need the show method there, and you'll see how we use that too. And so output file scatter from charts, this is how I want to name my file, .html, and then the show method p. That's it. So what this will do, it will create this file in the current directory, which was here. So as you see, I started from an empty directory here, but now I have the IPython notebook file, so, or Jupyter file if you like. But this is how it was, it used to be called. And so this is our script. Let's go ahead and execute this. So you can go ahead and Control Enter to execute this, and we get the plot in another tab, so in this directory. So this looks pretty good. Here you see that we've got a toolbar, so we have the pan tool here, so it allows us to pan around the area. or if you want you can zoom in a certain area with a box zoom. This will be more appropriate when you have lots of points or lots of details in a line chart. You may want to resize the chart. And the wheel zoom, so you can zoom out and in with that. You can save the graph as a PNG file if you like, so save image and PNG there, and then you have a graph in an image file. Or you can reset the graph as it was in the beginning. And you also have a help icon here to ask for help about Bokeh. So that's it for now. So we use the charts interface to create a scatter plot. In the next lecture we will use the plotting interface to create the same plot. So see you later.